Hey there, Sarah with Next Gen Medium. I just went on for like 20 minutes, not even realizing that this was not recording. Okay. Look at me. I don't even care anymore. Look, there's a chair over there. This is a sheet. There's papers over there. I don't even know what those are. I got my hoodie on. Yeah. Living my best life. You know why? Because it doesn't matter what this looks like or I look like, even though a lot of people are going to judge me on that. Hey, I can't do anything about that. But what I can do is give some integrity of, or at least relay my experiences and what I understand as my truth. The integrity comes once you get to know me, I think. Right? At least I'll cross my fingers. I hope that you wait around for that. All right, so I'm a psychic medium intuitive. You wouldn't know it by that whole spiel. But I didn't know this for years. It wasn't until I was 33. How old am I? That was 3 years ago. That I took a little class and I walked away going, my whole world has changed. And witnessing the things that I did, seeing the evidence I saw, growing up, feeling like an illogical person, and that I really had to work hard to understand what was logical, seeing how valued it was, understanding that logic brings integrity. I worked very hard to be very conscientious of logic growing up. And then I came across this weird thing where I might be able to talk to dead people, and I didn't know that that was something I could even do. I thought I would have already known by then. 33, come on, that's old. And no, it's proved to be evidential to me. I wasn't going in going, God, I hope I'm a psychic, because I didn't know that was even something I was capable of doing, even though I've had little taps on my shoulder along the way. I didn't even know that that was even real for the most part. But I figured it out. Holy crap. This is for real. Is it for real? Let me test it a bunch of times. Let me get so much evidence that it is undeniable, but also be open to this not being a thing and for it to be a thing. I want truth. That was the most important. That is where integrity lies. And so here I am talking about it, talking about my experience, because along my journey in these past 3 years, I can't believe that I'm the only person who hasn't known for 30 plus years that I'm capable of these things. Like, I didn't know that, and now I do, and my whole life has changed. I have missions. I know how I'm going to accomplish them. I feel good. I'm in a line with my true self, which I didn't know what that sounded like before. The whole psychic experience. I didn't know what my intuitive voice sounded like. And actually, I think about it, and understanding how I received mediumship messaging was how this all began, and was very easy for me. It was almost like I'm just using my imagination. And now I've understood that imagination is, that place of imagination is actually a place of communication as well. But it took me a couple years to really get to know what my intuition was, how that communicated to me, how I understood that. I thought it was kind of mashed up with my psychic, and I thought that was psychic. And then after a while, I was able to discern with so many experiences and so much time to be patient with things becoming more defined and more familiar, that my intuitive self was in the mix. And I just didn't know what it sounded like. We don't know. We're not conditioned to know what that is. If we were conditioned to know what our intuitive self was saying to us, then you wouldn't be so compelled to find that true love in order for the jewelry industry to get all their money for engagement rings and wedding rings. You wouldn't be so compelled to go and pay for a doctorate degree because of the whole institution of education makes a lot of money off of you. We're not conditioned to think for ourselves or to speak for ourselves. We're told to get in line and get our wallets out. That's all it is. The reason why I'm going into this deep, crazy conversation the way that I am, I usually don't do this right away. Usually I do this whole introduction, I'm Sarah, I'm a psychic medium intuitive. I've got a blog and a website, and a podcast, and all this other stuff. It's all about development because this stuff happened to me, but I can't believe that I'm the only person who wouldn't know this stuff for the longest time. And I think everybody's capable of doing this. I had no idea. How could anybody else? We're so busy trying to play these rules, trying to survive the game that is distracting us from the stuff that's really important, which is that intuitive stuff. And for me, the gateway to understanding that spiritual self, that intuitive self, was with my soul abilities, my psychic, medium, intuitive. I throw that in there. Healing. These are the ways to gain evidence of something bigger for your own truth. And only you can gain that truth because you got to prove it to yourself. Changes everything. So the reason why I'm going into this the way that I am is because this is Reddit Answers. And I go to Reddit and I give some answers. Not the answers, they're my answers based on my experience and my truth. Maybe my possible truth or theories I'm aware of that aren't 100% my truth, but I'd consider it. All that stuff could change tomorrow. I gotta be okay with that. So Reddit Answers, we're going to Reddit. Someone's got a question, or, someone's got an experience that they've been going through. And they're feeling pretty damn good. And it makes me happy. I'm happy for this person. Going to the subreddit of spirituality. Here we go. Finally getting to the question. Or the statement. Okay. I feel like my realization of self-awareness has cured my depression. I've been on what feels like to me a huge self-awareness journey for the last 2 to 3 months. For context, I live in Melbourne, Australia, and the many lockdowns we had actually guided this journey for me. I have suffered from depression and anxiety for almost 7 years now, and this self-awareness journey that has come to light for me literally has me happier than I could have ever imagined. I'd say I'm like 90% sure it's cured my depression. Nowadays, I have a clear mind, goals to work towards, places to be, and I'm actually putting in the effort to achieve great things. I can put in the effort. I changed so many habits, so many thoughts that were habitual. I used to constantly think about negatives, the what ifs, which leads me to becoming just able to pass things. This is where the anxiety kicked in. So getting them done, just not well. Now, I always think of the positives first. And that really is because I truly believe in manifesting. I can achieve what I set out to do because I know my limits. Spirituality has been a guide for me, and I'm so beyond happy. Okay, so this person has put the effort into positive thinking. I will say for me, For me, I was not looking to become a spiritual person in my journey. It's what fate had me step into, and not necessarily me step into, well, okay. There's a little give and take there. So I signed up for a class. I went to the class. It proved to be intriguing. I kept getting visions and stuff, relaying information that seemed to make sense to people, psychic and mediumship and stuff like that. And did guided meditations and the stuff that I would visualize, other people would visualize. So it was really strange. It was also very exciting. My energy was unlike anything I'd felt in a very long time, sitting there and doing these exercises. And I don't know if I was psyched because, like, there was something there with these exercises and the information I was getting, or if it was because of I was channeling, or I don't even know how to make sense of what that was. But I went to this class and I just went there to, I don't know. It was just something I was kind of interested in. It wasn't, I never thought that I was a psychic medium, intuitive, or anything. I never thought that that was a title I could be, because I thought at 33, I should know if I'm that stuff or not. Like, you always hear the stories from people who do that stuff, and it's always like, oh, when I was a baby, I saw dead people. I saw my grandma, and she'd already been dead for 7 years. And you know what I mean? Like, that was never my thing. Nope, no idea. But at 33, I started using a place of imagination, which apparently is a place of communication. Took me years to figure that one out. But it took time, it took curiosity, interest, wanting to know the truth. Either way. If it's true, then okay. If it's not true and I don't have these abilities, well, at least I know the truth. The more times I played with stuff, the more evidence I was able to gain, the more courage I had to go to people that would know the answers to confirm or disprove this information is true. The more evidence I was gaining that this stuff was for real, that this was real life. And then I had to be like, well, I feel like I'm not crazy. I think a lot of people would be saying to me, Sarah, is everything okay? But people aren't saying that. But then there came a point where I had to say it to other people because I wanted to really be grounded in truth. And I needed people to play with who I didn't know that well, and that I could feel like I could walk away and be like, all right, that was a good experiment because I didn't know this person that well. And I was able to read them here. They were able to confirm this, 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 and this, and this. This stuff was kind of vague, but this was really specific. And that kind of is another notch on confirmed evidence of this stuff being real. So it took a lot of time. And then having to come out and tell people, like, I'm looking into this. Like, that was really hard because I grew up really trying to be that logical person. That is valued. Saying, listen, this psychic medium stuff might be for real and I want to test it out. Like, I'm just thinking of all my bosses that saw that message, and it took me about a week to actually publish that post on Facebook. Because all I could think was, like, they're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think I'm off in some other world. I'm naive. Ugh. Terrible. But comes a point when you just got to be like, I just got to know for myself. Can you blame me? So it's my truth. It is my reality that these things are for real. And it was through understanding my psychic, medium, intuitive healing abilities that I was able to step through a door of this stuff doesn't have science to back it up. This stuff is exclusive to few people, quote unquote, if it is real. And also that this stuff is fake. Like, these are rampant understandings of these concepts, right? And I had to work my way through that as being a person of integrity and wanting just to know the truth of that stuff. But it was through this uncovering of these abilities that I was able to find my spiritual self. And really, it's being able to listen to my intuitive self. It took a lot of time. And actually, psychic mediumship was way easier to do than understanding what my intuitive self sounded like. And I'll give you a hint, at least for me, my truth, my experience. My intuitive self speaks to me with the way I feel. And there's different ways I feel that make me understand what my next move needs to be. And with that, it guides me towards happiness and abundance, towards great relationships, which is what this life is all about. It's building relationships and having purpose. Let me go back here, because I'm not sure this person went about things the way that I did. In fact, it doesn't sound like that whatsoever. It sounds like this person has been on sort of a journey of sort of reframing themselves, reframing their understanding of things, which is something that came for me after my spiritual awakening, which happened about a day or two after that class. And it was a switch that went off. It was something that I was not prepared for. It's something that just happened to me. It was very uncomfortable for the first week. And then after that, it was everything that you hear about spiritual awakenings. Like, everything's beautiful. Colors are brighter. Tastes are tastier. Some really kind of crazy things that feel great. Feels really good. And you get caught up in wanting truth and wanting to be lost in it and to be all in to that world. I don't know if this person has been through the spiritual awakening process, but I want to go through this a little bit here. I've been on what feels like a huge self-awareness journey for the last 2 to 3 months, and that was about the amount of time that my spiritual awakening kind of came and went. And it really was sort of like well, at first it was really scary because it was anxiety. So it sucked at first. And then all of a sudden it hit its peak, and then it rode for a while. And then maybe that last of the 3 months is when it kind of waned, and I started feeling more kind of back to earth, I guess is the way that I would put it. Less with my mind in the clouds. Much more logical, and getting back to that egoic physical world rules thing that spiritual awakening blasts you off from. It's sort of the spiritual awakening, I think of it as a taste of the spiritual world, of what it feels like to be in that spiritual world, that feeling of love and all that crazy stuff, that purity of it. And I think a lot of people go through this in different ways. For this person, it sounds like they took the effort to go forward with, it's about time I start this journey, which I didn't do that. I think my way was probably, it was kind of accidental, I think, but it wasn't, because nothing's accidental. It was the right time for me. I actually remember that morning, I didn't want to go because I was like, it's Saturday and it's my day off, and now I have to put pants on and go be with these people I don't know and do things that I think is probably a waste of time. And like, I would know I'm psychic or medium by now. Like, come on. And then it changed my whole life. Everything's changed since then. I have a mission, I have priorities. How I do things is different. The reasons why I do it are different. I have clear understanding of what deserves my time and what doesn't, who deserves my time and what doesn't. And with that, I move towards working my mission and doing it efficiently and doing it with the biggest impact. And I want to feel good. So those are the things I did. Another way that I think people go about getting to this place of gratitude for their spiritual selves, understanding their intuitive selves, is near-death experiences. I've watched a couple things on YouTube, actually quite a few, where I listen to their stories and I can parallel some of their experiences with how my spiritual awakening was. And it feels like there's quite a few similarities with sort of the outcome of these events. That makes me feel like either spiritual awakenings are just a lesser degree of a near-death experience, but have a similar impact, or there's some correlation there. I'm convinced. It sounds like this person went out of their way to do this. And I have suffered from depression, anxiety for almost 7 years now. And now I'm really happy. This person says, I feel like my depression has been cured. Okay. So I will definitely attest to having anxiety and depression since I was a teenager. I actually got to the point where I was having like panic attacks and started taking medication for it years ago. And then when my spiritual awakening happened, at first it was feeling like panic attacks again. And it was like, I'm already on anxiety medication. What the hell is going on? And so I thought I'd gotten to a good place. And when my panic attack started happening, that near panic attack feeling with the spiritual awakening, it was sort of really taken me aback that, oh my God, am I taking a step back with all this stuff, all these years of switching medications and dealing with the effects of some medications and having to wean and explore. And God, I'm so tired of anxiety medication. Side note. And here I was dealing with panic stuff again, which is how it all began. Me taking medication all began with that same feeling. So I dealt with anxiety and depression for the longest time, medications, blah, 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 blah. And I will say, after my spiritual awakening, anxiety and depression went down quite a bit. Quite a bit. Not with that first kind of week, but after that. And I think it really does have to do with the amount of focus you put on your internal self, and how you focus on the internal self. Also, what you're not focusing on external of yourself. There's so much bullshit that we allow into our lives that has nothing to do with us. It has to do with what that person thinks or how that person feels. And we get away from what the priority actually is. Truth, right? And happiness for ourselves. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that piece of ego that contributes to anxiety and depression. Once you have sort of a spiritual understanding of yourself, of your priorities, that ego self, like, it starts getting in the way quite a bit. And so with that, depression and anxiety, I think, dissipate. Because depression, anxiety is a symptom of the egoic self in a lot of ways. And a lot of it's because of the rules that have been put on you, and you don't feel like you're performing to those rules. Well, guess what? Those rules were made up. Those are fake rules. The spiritual stuff is the real rules. Do unto others as you do to yourself. The energy you put out is the energy you receive. Like, that's it. Come on. Nowadays I have a clear mind, goals to work towards, places to be. I'm actually putting, yeah. I feel you because there's a lot of things this person has to say that I totally connect with. I can totally see myself in that spiritual awakening time, right where that person is. So I'm wondering if this person is going through a spiritual awakening themselves, where they're not saying weird things, that even though they sound so weird, for some reason it makes sense to me to say it. One of the phrases for my spiritual awakening was, I want to crack my skull open. Oh my God, another longest video of my life. I'm so sorry. So this is the phrase I used to say with my spiritual awakening. And I think back on it, and I always think, like, this sounds kind of strange, but I think back on it and I go, that's how I would put that into words. Is I want to crack my skull open and I want to expose my brain to the sky. And it's more of this concept that the sky isn't that far away from me and it actually can touch my brain. Isn't that kooky? But that's real. Like, that's how I would say it. And that's how it worked for me in my spiritual awakening. Let the coolness get into your vertebrae, you know. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds weird. But it's that idea of, like, this is my true self. This is my most vulnerable piece of body of me. And I want it to directly touch I don't know, whatever that is. Source, God, nature, direct energy, one-on-one. I don't know. It's crazy. All right, I'm wrapping this up. I'm so sorry. I just really like this post because this person is going through a transformation, and I think it's really interesting that they're like, I feel like my depression's been cured. And I felt like that. So I guess this is another thing I would add to this. With my spiritual awakening, like I said, it was like this crazy, beautiful arc. And then it slowly came back down to earth. And there is a waxing and waning of understanding of spirituality, how it impacts you in your everyday life, where you feel like, I feel so disconnected from it than I used to be. And everything's compared to that spiritual awakening time because that's when it's really intense. And then after that, it almost feels like you're always searching to have that intensity again. And so you could even feel like sad that you're almost like, I'm never going to feel that ever again. And that was so awesome to feel that and to feel that connected. And so I would say to this person, nothing is forever. Always expect change. Do not worry about what's to come or what to expect is coming. And I think with that, you take it as it comes. And keep that piece of mission and duty and purpose in your heart and in your energy. And it will continue to provide back for you. I would not say that anxiety or depression went away. I would say for the first kind of part of my spiritual awakening, it really didn't exist. But with time, you kind of get settled back onto the earth plane. And sometimes you get so settled back in that you almost wonder, am I going to be as spiritual as I used to be? And it waxes and wanes. Your interest comes and goes, your time and patience and what you your mission is at that time. Could be, what do they call it? A side quest, if you will. So just stay with it and keep your mission alive, even when you feel like your hands aren't in it, because your heart always is. Hey, that was a great way to end that. Find out more about your soul abilities if you want to take that path and understanding your intuitive and spiritual self. It's such a rewarding experience, and it's something that I would highly recommend to everybody. Your mom, your dad, your best friend, your dog. You can go to my website, nextgenmedium.com, and check out information there. And I also have some Patreon stuff coming down the pike, which is going to be all kinds of things that you get to have fun with. Check out my other videos. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Thank you.